Okay, so I don't really know how we're going to do this today. I'm just going to talk. We did a tribute for Brodie Lee, John Huber over the weekend. Please do go watch that if you can, because I think it sums up a lot of my thoughts and I don't want them to be misconstrued or miscommunicated here. I mean, look, Ups and Downs is a fun, stupid show, right? I mean, wrestling of course is important in our own lives because it's something we invest in, it's something we're passionate about. But in the grand scheme of life, I mean, it really doesn't matter. And then when a dude like Brodie Lee passes away, who again, I've said it before, I say it again, we don't know him, but he's still a part of our lives because we've seen him on TV every single week for a bunch of years. You know, to try and stand here and take the finger of power and give the good bits an up and bad bits a down, it's nonsense, it's pointless. And I want to get on my high horse and I don't want to preach, but you should always be critical, right? Constructively, of course. Anything that's out there to try and give you some happiness and something that you're going to buy into, you should be able to, well, up it and down it as much as you want. But it also is it's irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant. All these people from Brodie Lee to Cody Rhodes to, I don't know, Triple H to Britt Baker to Nia Jax to Shayna Baszler, they have all got to the very top of their profession, be it WWE, WWE Ring of Honor, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I think these are kinds of things every now and then we should take a step back and I don't even know what the words are. I mean, it's why I wore this today. It's why I wore this. Like, this is the kind of thing I want to do. I want to try and use these events to inject some positivity back into my life. I love Metallica. I like my favorite band ever, but this hoodie is too small for me. I shouldn't be wearing this hoodie. It's even hard to get on and it's hard to take off. I thought, screw it, I'm wearing it today because I like it. I like how it feels against my skin. So obviously I'm talking, it's the tribute show for Brodie Lee last night, Dynamite. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring in the ups and downs counter. We're gonna give it 100 ups. We're just gonna give it 100 ups. We're gonna knock away, there it goes, the down counter. We're gonna bring in the Brodie Lee t-shirt that you can get from AEW shop.com or AEW's official shop. I mean, all the proceeds go to Brodie Lee, John Huber's family. That's far more important than anything I can do or say here. And I will recap it as best as I possibly can. And I think the main reason that we should do this is because the more we talk about Brodie Lee, as a lot of people said on this show, I don't know what's down there, why am I looking down there? But the more that we talk about it, the more he keeps his memory alive. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about a microphone because it just doesn't work on this top, but I don't care. These are the kind of things that I think we should do. I have waffled on long enough. My name is Simon Miller. Welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling. Let's up those downs. So AEW Dynamite this week started off with the 10-bell salute. The entire roster were at the top of the rampway. We've seen way too many of these, not only in 2020, but just in wrestling throughout. And I hope we never see one again, which obviously isn't realistic because that's not how life works. And then it fell to Jon Moxley, who had the very hard and very difficult task of having to cut one of those tribute videos. I don't think he was on location. I think he was at his house or whatever. And he just said a bunch of nice things about Brodie Lee. And much like if you've been keeping an eye on social media this week, you will know that everybody only has nice and good things to say about Brodie Lee, which makes this even harder than it would have been anyway. But he summed it up beautifully, and his main takeaway, the main thing he wanted to drive home, is that John Huber was an incredibly good human being and an incredibly good family man, and that maybe we could use all of this to try and be a little bit nicer to each other. And I was just like, amen, brother, amen. There's absolutely something we should be trying to do. We then moved into Matt Hardy in the private party, taking on the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana, and Colt was obviously very emotional as he was making his entrance. But what I really appreciated by this is that as soon as he was in the ring, he was doing all this comedy shtick. He was being the goof that he has been for 15 years plus, whatever the hell it's been. It was very, very entertaining, and I appreciated it because it put a smile on my face. This included slapping Isaiah Cassidy right in the face, and then him and the Young Bucks were hitting a triple drop kick, and yet somehow throughout all of this, Matt Hardy found a way to continually be a dick by grabbing people by the feet and distracting them. And that is something that AEW did very well throughout the entire show. Even though it was a tribute episode, they still weave storylines in, but they did it in a very respectful way. And most of all, I don't want to double down on it, but it's true, they They just wanted to entertain you as best as they possibly could. There was a nice moment when Nick Jackson got some revenge and hit a face buster and then looked into the camera and said, "That one was for you, Brodie." And I was like, hell yeah, it was. And Matt Hardy just wouldn't let any of this go. At one point, he had a steel chair, and I can only assume that he was going to thwomp everybody over the head. But kind of nicely, Mark Quinn of Private Party wouldn't let him do that, because that ties into the story that these guys are all going to fall out. Unfortunately, it goes to show sometimes you shouldn't do the right thing, because Mark Ken then got hit with the Indie Taker and then got pinned by the Superman pin courtesy of Colt Cabana. And a little bit of a spoiler for you. If any member of Dark Order or a good guy was associated with a match, those people won, which was a very nice touch. If any of that hadn't pulled at your heartstrings, we then cut into the crowd and -1 or Brodie Lee Jr. was there wearing his Evil Uno mask. And honestly, I tell you, it's one of the hardest sights to see for obvious reasons. But then it got even better because the Acclaim came out and they were going to say some bad things about the Dark Order. So they got beaten up by SCU and they got beaten up by the Young Bucks. Colt Cabana finished them off too. And again, -1 looked like he was having the time of his life. It's exactly what I think I and all of us needed to see. Darby Allin was the next person cutting a tribute video in the back, and then it was Eddie Kingston, the Butcher and the Blade taking on the Dark Order and Lance Archer. And beforehand, Eddie even got on the mic and just said, "Hey, look, Dark Order, you suck now because you don't have Brodie Lee." I thought it was very nice. Lance Archer also came out dressed as Luke Harper as his tribute, and that was almost too much. And it was here when the whole theme of the show finally clicked for me. I think I was being a little bit of a goofball. But essentially, because it is pro wrestling where you have heroes or villains, if you fit into the villain category on this episode, you got beaten up, which is why Eddie Kingston served as that person and just had his ass whipped. I mean, Evil Uno was doing it, Stu Grayson was doing it, and before the end, even Jake Roberts was doing it. He hit him with a short arm clothesline, and then of course got on the microphone and challenged Okada to a match in the Tokyo Dome. That didn't happen, but imagine if it actually did. For the record, that's never gonna happen. It all built to a hot tag for Grayson before he and Evil Uno hit the fatality onto Eddie Kingston to get the 1, 2, 3. And then after the fact, poor Eddie just got punched in the face and beaten up repeatedly, because again, he's not a good person. And in this world, at least for a couple of hours, that doesn't pay. The next tribute was just everybody telling us what a great dad and what a great family man Brodie Lee was. And I think the line that really summed it up is when we were told if there was a Mount Rushmore of dads, we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling here, we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of dads, Brodie Lee's face would be on it. And then, flub me, what do I even do? It was John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Hangman Adam Page. And they were taking on the Inner Circle, and this is what you need to do. You just need to find 10 to 15 minutes of your day. You need to sit down, and you need to watch this. Silver wore the gear that Brodie Lee had bought him, and that was just a punch right into the heart straight away. And then he and Reynolds also got a stack of paper, and they threw it into Ortiz's and Santana's face, a la BTE. I mean, that was flipping funny when they used to do it on that show. And here it was like the most, I can't think of the words, but just like, man, that's gonna get me, but the crowd went nuts. What a really well thought out spot. We also had a mini feud here between -1, Brodie Lee Jr. and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. And at one point, MJF even went out there and flipped him off. And I was like, wow, that's a little bit much. But again, it was done in the appropriate way because MJF was about to get his. I mean, for starters, it all built to a hot tag for John Silver, who ran wild before everybody hit their big move on MJF because MJF is a dick. And then we got that finish. Because Wardlow was Wardlowing on the outside, which distracted the referee and allowed Ward to get in there and start beating everybody up. Before of all the people to make the save, it was none other than Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, Brodie Lee's old tag team partner, and he ensured to get rid of MJF's bodyguard. And I mean, really, I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. It was like an emotional smack right in the face. Throughout all of this, MJF still found a way to be a dick, including saving his team by grabbing Ortiz's foot and putting it on the rope. And then when he turned to Brodie Lee Jr. and took his mask off, that was too much for -1. So he got a kendo stick. Who the hell knows where he got that from, but it was great. And he just twonked MJF right on the head. He went down. It may very well be the most satisfying thing I have ever seen in professional wrestling. Silver then posed like Lee and hit the discus clothesline to get the 1, 2, 3 before Eric Rowan came back out to the ring to celebrate, and he had a board or a sign that said goodbye. It almost feels insulting to try and recap this anymore, so again, please just go and watch it and dedicate a few minutes of your day to Brodie Lee. Kingston was then cutting a proper tribute video in the back. and it was just lovely. And it was so emotional, and it kind of summed up all the thoughts that everybody else had about Brodie Lee. I'm sure they're going to be putting it on YouTube. In fact, I think there's some extra ones on YouTube, so even if you can only do that, again, you really, really should go and do it. And it sums up the effect that this man had on everybody. Anna Jay and Ty Conte versus Britt Baker and Penelope Ford was next. And I really don't know what else to give you. Once again, they just hit it out the park. It's annoying when people make sound effects, they shouldn't have done it. Kip Sabian kept being a numpty on the outside because most of Kip Sabian's wrestling life is him being a numpty on the outside, but clearly the focus here was on Anna Jay, she of the Dark Order. And she got the victory after she applied the Queen Slayer for the tap-out win, and Ty Conti was getting rid of Britt Baker and getting rid of Reba. And this annoyed Britt so much, she told Tony Schiavone to get to the ring because she wanted to do an interview. She said that the whole thing was nothing but a big rig, which was not only a nice nod to Luke Harper, Brodie Lee's name on the indie scene, but also like a shot of professional wrestling in general, before out came Thunder Rosa to beat up Britt Baker, because Britt Baker is a heel and she deserves to be beaten up. And also, it just carried on that feud too. Honestly, how they all weave this together while also keeping it incredibly respectful, I will never know. Chris Jericho then did another tribute video afterwards, and it was just great. He told a lovely story about the two in a hotel room. I'm not saying any more about these. It really wouldn't be right. The final match of the evening was them Brody Jr.'s favorite wrestlers teaming together. And what else do I even need to tell you? It may have been perfect. It was Cody Rhodes, and he was teaming up with Orange Cassidy and 10 from the Dark Order to take on Team Taz. Just one of the most emotional things I've seen in a while. The focus was on getting the hot tag to Preston 10 Vance, and he finished that all off with a Brody bomb. And then Taz was so upset by this, he went and got a chair, but Arn Anderson was looking like, no, that's not gonna happen. So it didn't, and instead all the good guys hit their big good guy moves, and 10 got the physical pin. Team Taz then attacked afterward because they are a bunch of goons, but have a guess who made the save. The lights went off, and there was Darby Allin, and then the lights went off, and when they came back on again, it was Sting. They were like a compiled unit, ready to kick some ass, and they chased the bad guys away. We've already talked about the theme of the show. And then in closing, I feel it's almost disrespectful for me to stand here and try and recount it. So we will just call it the Brodie Lee tribute package. It was led by Cody Rhodes, who had some incredibly nice words to say, and then Tony Khan was out there, and John Huber's family was out there, and they left his gear in the middle of the ring before playing one of the most heartbreaking videos I've ever seen in my life. And I think during that moment, it kind of hit home a little bit more. I'm certainly not trying to take away anyone's grief, but my word, you'd have to be made of steel not to have been cutting some onions during this. So the whole week has been horrible, but it was a tremendous way to honor somebody's memory, and hopefully we here at WhatCulture have done our own little bit as well. I would never even dream of trying to make videos and not reference this. That seems even more insulting than talking about it. Of course, you have to, life doesn't just carry on. You have to talk about these things. You have to deal with them as best as you can. This has been a very strange episode of ups and downs, but I also think the right way to handle it. If I have got it wrong, I'll hold my hands up, and I'm happy to be taken for task for that. And I suppose we'll just get through the weekend, and then we'll move on. But never forget, right? I always worry sometimes we forget. Never forget, and if you can try and use this to bring some extra positivity into your life, well, that's clearly how John Huber decided to spend his days on this planet. So I'm gonna try and be a little bit better too. And on that note, please do leave a comment below. And again, just share your favorite Luke Harper or Brodie Lee stories, whatever they may be. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com. You can read articles there. You can follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. And what else do you do? You can watch more videos here if you so wish. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you for being with me for all of this. We've got a couple of extra videos planned, which again, hopefully will just do the memory of Luke Harper, Brodie Lee, John Huber justice. We will do our best. But otherwise, thank you for watching me. I said this in the video the other day, I'll say it here again. Thank you for the support. Thank you for allowing me to be a goofball and a bald asshole. It doesn't go amiss, right? It really, really doesn't. It means the world to me. Long may it continue. I'll see you soon.